Okay, we are officially on. Thank you all for coming. Welcome. We are a week late because of Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a good one. And I hope you all have been able to get down and look at the gorgeous lights in Cherry Creek. So, well, let's get going. So tonight, we'll go quickly around. I see Logan here. We don't really have minutes, and I have just we talked about this a little bit. As an organization, it's nice to have minutes, but we are recording these. So where we're recording them, there is a record of the meetings. So if you want to go look at these, they are under the Cherry Creek North Neighborhood Association website. So that's where you will find the steering committee meeting recordings, which we are going to use for the time being as minutes. As before we get started here, we always try to go around and just do a quick little update on what is happening. I see Logan here. There is nobody else from any of the other council persons' offices. So Logan, you want to give us an update on Councilwoman Sawyer?
Sure, yeah, happy to. Good to see everybody. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Councilwoman Sawyer is out from her surgery and is recovering nicely, but not a whole lot really going on new-wise because of that. So we are still working on our rezoning of the Hale neighborhood for all of the ADUs there. Um, and we're also doing work on the Colfax BRT, as well as working on the last things for the Denver Moves Cherry Creek project there that you guys have been advocating on. Um, I don't think I have anything other than that really. Like I said, we haven't started anything new. There's not really been a whole lot of updates because of her going offline kind of for the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay, well, please tell her we're all thinking of her and wishing her well. And thank you for being here in her stead. So I'll turn it over to Lisa to give us a little update on the bid.
Wow. Happy holidays, everybody. They've begun. And as you have probably already seen, we are just wall to wall, 16 blocks of beautiful lights up and at them. So we're very excited. We launched on November 16th and we had a wonderful beginning. We had the big plug-in on CBS News. We had Cozy come out and push the magic button to turn it into holiday music. What else? We had 2 press conferences. So just to give you a quick update on what's happening around Winter Wonderland, just to remind you, if you don't know, this year from a charity standpoint, we are featuring the giving machines. And if you've not seen these, there are 4 huge, big red 7-foot vending machines that are filled with 5 local charities, 2 international charities. And just like a vending machine, you can spend $1 to whatever you want to spend on a maybe a soccer ball for a child who can't get one, food, livestock. There's just so many variations of what you can just as easy as a vending machine kind of stick in 100%, I guess 100% of all these monies go directly to the charities. There isn't anything kind of being carved out for anybody else. So we're very excited to have that. And it's located right at 2nd Avenue in Fillmore, right in front of Eileen Fisher. So you won't miss them anyway, but would love for you to take a peek at that. And we're thrilled to have that this year. The holiday market is featuring 50 vendors. We now have this year a mistletoe lounge, which is this large, beautiful tent, a little bit more centered toward First. And they have a fabulous bar inside with alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages that are festive and a great area for seating. That's a lot of fun as well. And this year, our entertainment on Saturday Night Lights, which begins this weekend, December 2nd, 9 and 16, between 5 and 7 p.m., will feature lots of entertainment. And it's actually running between 2nd and 3rd on Fillmore this year. Right in the Civica Plaza area, if you're familiar with that. That would be on the east side. And just delighted, and it looks like we're going to have some decent weather for all of that, to not, to come on out and join us for that. The last thing I wanted to mention is our Hanukkah celebration, which is on December 10th, which is a Sunday. It's an inside-outside deal. It too is at Civica Center between 2nd and 3rd on Fillmore. And obviously fire juggling, lighting the menorah, activities on the inside, and lots of tasty treats. So encourage you to come join us for that between 5 and 8 o'clock p.m. on December 10th. So we're in the throes of it. It looks beautiful out there. Let me know what you think when you come out and visit. We'd love to get your feedback. And if I can entertain any questions, that's kind of my spiel for today. And I appreciate being a part of this and appreciate all of you.
Well, thank you. It looks amazing. And I haven't been down there enough to really take advantage of the Mistletoe Lounge, but it's going to be on my list for sure. So thank you for that update. There is, there's a lot of construction in the neighborhood. A couple of the streets are still, ours being one of them right now, they're closed due to the Denver water projects that they have in the neighborhood, which make it a little bit messy. And of course, there's just lots of construction everywhere in the neighborhood. But
right. And Lou, to that end, if you're not already on it, we have 2 newsletters. One of them is public facing, which I encourage you to take a peek so you can know what's new and happening in the district. The other one's called an Insider, and that is a wonderful one to sign up for because there's a construction corner at the end of it and gives you little details of shifts and changes as it relates to that construction, and we'll keep you abreast of that. And you can find both of those registrations on our website.
Perfect. Thank you. And it's open for anybody to register?
Absolutely. I encourage you to do them both because you'll get lots of great information and it's a great source of what's going on.
Well, I know I'm on the main one because I get those. So it's that Insider one. I like being an insider. So I'll sign up for that one as well. Okay, wonderful. I am going to ask, maybe, I don't want to put you on the spot, Stuart, but I will give just a quick report. Stuart and Richard and I did meet with Denver Moves team. There will be a meeting tomorrow, but Stuart, do you want to say a few words about that?
Well, good news and bad news. First off, I think that we have a good design for First and Steel. So please attend the next steering committee meeting and take a look at that. It seemed to be the ultimate compromise. And I think it's probably the best outcome we could expect. In a similar vein, they figured out how to address the Cherry Creek Bike Trail at Country Club. And they spoke with the historic, I don't know their exact name, but Historic Commission regarding potentially narrowing the median slightly to give space on the side for a safe bike trail. Now, I don't want to steal the show away from them. This is just a teaser. So please come to that meeting and see what these options are. I'm quite happy about that. From my perspective, the more challenging news is the way I see this report is that nothing's going to happen for us for 10 years. And I'm very concerned about the lack of short-term strategies. We have bus service in our area that has 1 hour frequency. And I had hoped that this study would be able to address that. It really isn't, at least not in the short term. They ruled out microtransit. It looks like there's not many options. So tomorrow, Lou, by the way, little tangent here, Lou is absolutely amazing. She is so on the ball. She really is right at that front of the edge. And I appreciate her so much in these meetings. We have another meeting tomorrow, and we're going to go over hopefully short-term strategies and have some resolution around that. We also expressed some of the frustrations that we have with the lack of coordination with these large development projects and getting a good handle on what they're going to be providing in the way of what I call trip mitigation, reducing vehicles, because as of now, I don't see much. And so I feel we're stuck in limbo. No one's telling us no one's talking, no one's creating a solid picture for us. So again, tomorrow we meet and we're going to get some further clarity.
Thank you, Stuart. And I think what Stuart means is that if if I have questions, I ask them, and if I don't get answers, I push. So, but that sometimes you all know that's what you need to do to make sure that we don't end up with something where the right hand isn't talking to the left hand and we're not all addressing the same issues. But thank you for the report. There is a meeting tomorrow. I don't have it right in front of me. Stuart, do you recall when the steering committee? So tomorrow the meeting is again with this small group, it's called, and that group is comprised of Stuart, Richard from the bid, and myself, and then we have the people from Dottie who are working on Denver Moves. So, but what they call it the steering committee, it's not Cherry Creek steering committee, it's the Denver Moves steering committee. And Stuart, do you have that date?
I'm going to put it into the chat, give you all the
Okay.
information.
Okay, perfect. Okay, with that, thank you for that update. And if anybody has anything else, please let me know, raise your hand. And otherwise we'll go to our very important person who is raising her hand.
Yeah, I was just
So-
gonna tell you, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this, maybe Lisa has. Just walking around the district this week, I've seen a bunch of maybe construction workers or employees on scooters, like kind of just doing whatever they want on the scooters. But I'm like, okay, that's like their mass transit right now, and I'm glad there's no snow, I guess.
Right.
So not
I've
the
not, but I
ideal
will-
situation.
I've not noticed that myself, but I can talk to Richard about that and kind of find out what's going on there. It seems a little unusual.
Yeah, well,
Well,
it's cheaper than parking, huh?
Well, and you know, scooters, that is a way for people to get around. And if you've got a tool belt or anything else heavy, it's probably a lot easier than walking a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
But okay, well, we will go ahead now with our topic for this evening, which is the development update. I was fortunate to be able to go with Christine on her tour recently. Linda Barker was there as well, and we walked these projects, and I found this really informative. So I will turn it over to her, and we'll go through this, and then we'll come back for questions.
Yeah, and I just want to say, even before starting out, I just put this information together, but a lot of you might have insight or read something different. So please don't feel shy about piping in, because I'm just a gatherer of information. So yeah, we had a good time. And anyway, good evening. I'm going to do my whole spiel on you. When you have such a vibrant community like we do, because of the BID, because of you great neighbors, because of advocates like Stuart and Amanda Sawyer, then we have great success. So now we're one of the top 5 submarkets in the United States. If you haven't read that before, that's a true statement. And we are really flourishing. One of the issues of being in this elite group is that there's development, and we all have got our feelings about how Cherry Creek has changed over the years, but it beats the alternative, I guess, because there's a lot of cities really struggling. So Richard knows this, and we just updated this. We've been doing our due diligence, just trying to stay up to date on all of the development in Cherry Creek. And how I do that is I talk to Richard, and I also call all the developers or email them and just make sure I have the right information, so that I'm telling you guys all of everything that's as up to date as possible. But hey, you know what? It could change in 24 hours. So if you've heard something different again, that's always a possibility. But one of the things that I really wanted to find out before I did this tour is like, wow, is this sustainable? So I just wanted to point out some of the numbers, that I was able to gather. So Class A office is 95 leased and occupied. Availability in Cherry Creek North is very slim. The average price for Class A office is $58.50 a square foot. New construction is now greater than $70 a square foot in comparison to the older Class A, which is going for $52 to $60 a square foot, which is mentioned previously. And a lot of this is pre-leased on even some of these new builds. So you'll see that. I think I have that information in here. The apartments in Cherry Creek North are 93.3% leased. The average rent is $32.81 a month. There are, 3-bedroom apartments that are renting out for $16,000 a month. That's pretty crazy. And then the average single family home price in Cherry Creek North right now is $3.4 million. So I'm going to just start out with Cherry Creek West. You guys, well, actually, I'm going to go back one step. So as we go into this report, I wanted to give you some numbers, and I don't have a slide for this, but so we've got 5 apartment complexes in Cherry Creek going in, plus Cherry Creek West has 4, so that's 10 complexes coming into Cherry Creek. We've got 2 condo projects, 1 hotel, 12 commercial buildings, plus Cherry Creek West is bringing 3 more, so that's 15 total commercial buildings that are on this presentation. So just, you guys are pretty up to date on Cherry Creek West. I was just going to point out the things that I think are really cool. So they've devoted 20,000 square feet to a publicly accessible green, which the design process concentrating on pedestrians through the site and the outdoor public realm, projecting 7 buildings, 3 office buildings totaling 610,000 square feet and 4 residential buildings with 830 units. Right now, and we finally have some dates, they're currently working with the city's entitlement process, and they expect to rezone by mid-2024. Then demo and utility work will be next, and they expect to break ground on the parking garage 4th quarter 2025, with the first building to be delivered in 2nd quarter 2028. So now I'm going to go into the multi-housing. So Mill Creek Residential, if you guys are familiar with the Modera project on 2nd Avenue, it's beautifully done. I think that's on, is it Monroe and Madison and 2nd?
180 Madison.
180
and
Madison.
2nd.
I think they've been good about reaching out to the neighbors, and I hear it's a very nice complex, and I've toured it. It's beautiful. I think it's a little quieter than some of the other ones in the area. But they're coming in. They bought 165 and 155 and 165 Cook. So they've got, it's going to be 6 stories, 110 apartments, 165 parking spaces. It's Oz architecture. They're breaking ground January 2023, and they hope to be completed in January 2025. Stillwater Capital Investments at 215 Detroit Street. This is 88 apartments. This is the old Garbarini area, her old building. It's 14,000 square feet of ground floor retail and restaurant space, 2 levels of underground parking. Of course, the amenitized rooftop pool and lounge area. SB Architects, I think they're out of Florida, and they're breaking ground spring 2024 was the latest on that. This is a new one. These are the old Victorians at 325 and 329 Detroit Street. I think they're right behind Fascination Street Art. Is that right, Lou? Yep. Okay.
That's right. It's just north of that. So, yes, and it's between the bid property and those 5-story condominiums.
Okay.
On Detroit.
So this just got approved for rezoning to 4 stories. It's 0.29 acres. It's 15 condominiums. The architect is Point West Design Works, and the development plans still need to be approved with the city. St. Paul Place, well, they withdrew their request to rezone for 8 stories. So now it is going to be only 37 residential units, but it's multi-level. Lou, you might know more.
It'll be a five-story condominium project with a world-class restaurant, from what we're told, and retail on the first floor.
Okay. And of course that Waldorf Astoria brand, it's Shears Adkins Rockmore that did the dairy block. And then when you guys are ready to move there, you can talk to Don Raymond with Kentwood Cherry Creek. BMC Investments in Rock Point, 299 Milwaukee Street. This is going to be 191 apartments, and the square foot is now 815 square feet is the average size. Ground floor retail, 231 parking spaces. Again, the same architect, Shears Adkins Rockmore, and they are breaking ground first quarter 2024. Bro Real Estate Group, this is still in the plans for their 50 South Steel Street apartments. The only difference, and you guys, we've all seen a presentation on this, is that they don't have a break ground date now. I think they want to focus on their commercial buildings in Cherry Creek North first. But this is the latest I have, and nothing's really changed on it since we've seen the presentation. And this, I keep calling these guys, this was AC Marriott Cherry Creek. It was proposed to be a hotel by Sunridge Hotel Group. So it was planned and approved for 12 stories. They cleared the land and demoed it. And it was bought by Baywood Hotels in January 2023, and nobody will let me know what the current plan is. The last time I had talked to Sunridge, they just said it was really too expensive to do construction right now. But I think the plan is still to do a hotel there. So Bro Real Estate, 200 Clayton Street is done. It looks like it's 85% leased. Charles Schwab is in, Vantage Data, AON. So they are all in and it's completed. And I actually like this building a lot. To the north of them is 250 Clayton Street, again, part of the Legacy Portfolio project. It's 8 stories, 170,000 square feet of office, 5,000 square feet of retail, multiple outdoor patio spaces at grade and outdoor terraces at multiple upper levels. Tentatively breaking ground January 2024, and they would like it to be done by 2026 if all goes well. Elevation Development Group and Edgemark at 300 University Boulevard. This is almost done. It's a 4-story office building, fully leased, 10,000 square feet of retail, outdoor terraces on the 2nd and 4th floor, 2 levels of underground parking spaces, open studio architecture, delivery 4th quarter 2023. The tenants are real estate finance firm Walker and Dunlop, Broadway 10, which is a wood-fired steakhouse and sushi, and they're opening next summer. Midwest Property Group, we've all been watching this. 4-story building, 50,000 square feet of office space, 10,000 square feet of retail on the ground floor, 3rd and 4th floor balconies for tenants. It's almost fully leased, 2 levels of underground parking, so 89 spaces. The architect's 4240, and it's supposed to be completed next quarter. Schnitzer West. It's my understanding, you guys may have heard this too, that there was some asbestos in the building. So it took a little bit longer than they expected when they broke ground 3rd quarter. But it's going to be an 8-story office building. It's, I believe, fully leased by Antero Resources. They'll take the 2nd through the 8th floor. And they're currently negotiating a lease for a restaurant user that's going to take both retail spaces. So basically a cafeteria, I think, for Antero Resources. The architect is, I think this is out of Chicago, Gosh Brothers. Is that right, Alan? Yeah. And the completion date's 2025. BMC Investments, this is where we toured on our tour. So they broke ground in April. It's 7 stories. It's 97% leased. Crusoe Energy is the largest office tenant. Le Colonial, which is part of Le Bilboquet, is taking 6,500 square feet to anchor the street level retail. 202 parking spaces, valet serviced. Architects 4240, and the delivery date should be open any day, I guess. I don't know when Le Colonial's opening though. I think that build out will take a little bit longer. But it was a beautiful building. Really great views, huge windows. We all thought it was quite nice. All right, right across the street. Well, nope, over on Milwaukee. So we're going 242 Milwaukee Street. This is where Bad Daddy's was and Chase Bank. I think this is kind of the same architecture as the 255 Fillmore, but they flipped it. So it's a 7-story Class A mixed-use project again. 84,000 square feet of office, 10,000 square feet of retail, 4240 architecture, 202 parking spaces, and they're breaking ground first quarter 2024 also. So Milwaukee Street is going to be a busy place on the north side between 2nd and 3rd. Magnetic Capital at 3250 East 2nd Avenue, right across from the Global Down Syndrome Foundation. This is a 5-story office building, 90,000 square feet of office and retail, Oz architecture. They're breaking ground 2nd quarter 2024 and expect delivery 4th quarter 2025. I always bring this one up. I probably talked about it last year because Uchi's one of my favorite restaurants. But Uchiko's coming in. I think they've been held up by the city a lot with the permits, but they expect to open in 2024. And I know I'm looking forward to Uchiko coming in because it's a little less expensive than Uchi. We just got the renderings for this. So Quorum Real Estate Group at 210 University bought this entire area. It's 3.32 acres. But we only have the information on phase 1 for Little Ollie's. So they're going to do 4 stories, retail and office, 2 levels of underground parking. Triba's the architect, and we don't have any details on when they're breaking ground yet. But Lou, this might be somebody you want to bring in and do a presentation to this group. And you guys know this development already, BMC Investments. I think for the Clayton Lane project, the big change on this, I think, is just 482 units. I can't remember if that's more or less than before. Yeah, I think it's less maybe because he's doing 1 and 2 bedrooms. And I think initially he had talked about doing studios. So I won't go into detail because I think we've all seen this, that they're going to do the new facade on the retail space on the east side of Clayton and wrap around to 2nd Avenue and then put a new facade on the side of the garage at Whole Foods. And Matt feels very strongly that everybody wants smaller retail space. So he is going to divide up a lot of that retail space and rent it out. And he had talked about moving some of the furniture stores that are currently in there, like Crate and Barrel, Our House, Joybird's in there now, but maybe moving them over to Milwaukee Street and like having a furniture row on Milwaukee Street. So
Also, he mentioned he's going to give over a couple of the retailers to have it be kind of affordable retailing so that there's a greater diversity, if you will, of the ability for some retailers to come in that aren't just paying all that crazy money, which I thought was very lovely.
yeah, that's cool. And just the fact that they're going to make that cool cutout behind Crate and Barrel where the loading dock is and make that a patio with more retail on that side. because Cherry Creek's so linear, just to have like a neat little area that's a little bit different, I think will be very attractive to us and tourists, and it's just going to be cool if he can pull it off. Hopefully he can. I know, for the first time I've heard a lot of these guys talk about funding though. I mean, funding 4 years ago was not a big deal, but I've heard a number of these developers say, hey, if we can get funding. So, all right. So there's the patio, there's Clayton Lane. Looks nice.
I think it's also going to be the first common consumption area in Cherry Creek, which would be like people can get a cocktail in one restaurant and then walk around that patio area because they'll have music out there. And so it'll be more of a sort of united special place that people can go walk around with their drinks and enjoy music and stuff.
No, it sounds great.
Yeah. I'd like to see a couple of the pieces, find their way around the district so that there's some tie-in. It's not just its own little beast right there. It's going to be gorgeous, but, have some level of, continuity and look and feel, a little bit.
No, I like the creativity on it. So Alpine Investments in Breckenridge Wine Coop LLC. I haven't really followed this exactly, but I think they rebought that property after they sold it. But now they're going to make it into an 8-story building, but keep the original Cherry Cricket there. So what they'll do is take down Forget Me Not and the Taylor building that is there and build the 8 stories over that. 97,000 square feet of Class A office space, 3 levels of underground parking. So, and redevelopment of the back parking lot of the iconic Cherry Cricket property. And they'll continue to operate out of the building. It is called home for years, the Cricket. And the architect again is Triba. So he's doing a lot along that area right there on Clayton with Matt's and this project. This one just caught a lot of us off guard, I think. So the Beal Group Limited and Green City Limited purchased 3035 East 3rd Avenue. So Kachina Kalori, Michael Moore, Twisted Tulip, Top and Dot. That's where they're all housed right now. But the plan is to do a 4-story mixed-use building, retail, 3 floors of office space, 2 levels of underground parking, open studio as the architect. The concept plan has been filed with the city, and the breaking ground is to be determined. So other sales in the area, 288 Clayton Street was purchased by Lario Oil and Gas Company for $12.5 million. That's where Le Marais is. That's Jerry Wrench's building. And then Second and Josephine was sold to Altus Properties. And that's where we're housed, the BID. And I now partner with those guys. I'm in their office. So that sold to Altus Properties for $51.5 million. Well, and with all this development and success, here brings more retailers. So we've got Joybird Roche Boboy. I should know that with my last name. I don't know.
Beaubois. It's Roche
Beaubois.
Roche Beaubois.
Roche Beaubois, Paris. We've got Anne Sachs, which is super high-end tile coming in. Broadway 10, Le Colonial Saltwater Social, which is part of Kona Grill. Natuzzi Italia, I think, is going to be on First Avenue somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. Sweet Izzy, I think, is ice cream. And then Uchiko, got to get that plug in. And then new stores coming to the shopping center are, or I think they've already opened. Yeah, Lisa, Lisa, can you say that? Zoomies? Doc Martens, Cinnabon, Francesca's, Buck Mason, Salons by JC, Garage, and the Inspiration Company.
Yeah, I think it's Zoomies.
Zoomies? Okay. And then Saint Laurent, Paris?
Saint Laurent.
Saint Laurent? Shinesty, Tudor, and Chocolatier are all coming. over to the Cherry Creek Shopping Center. So that is the development report, as far as I know. Lou?
Well, thank you very, very much. Let's open it up for any questions. I think I do want to say one thing, which is to Stuart's point a little bit earlier, with all this development, there is a new requirement that the developers provide a trip mitigation plan, so that when you build a certain number of square feet, you got to say how you're accommodating that increased traffic. So most of what was presented tonight, those are uses by right, because they're authorized under the current zoning for Cherry Creek North. The apartment complex for the second Mill Creek project on Cook, that is a CMX 5, so that is a use by right. The Borough 12-story-ish, I think it has some elevation changes. On Steel is subject to a development agreement that Cherry Creek East got done. I don't know if Bill wants to talk about that, or we'll bring it back when they bring that back to the neighborhood. I think right now I did hear as well that they're going to, Borough did buy the Seasons. If anybody else knew that adds to their real estate apartment portfolio. So right now, I think they might have put that on hold for a bit. But what we're seeing, so that was rezoned based on those agreements. What has not been zoned yet, of all the things we've talked about, is the Cherry Creek West project. They will be coming in for zoning, and their zoning proposal is consistent with the Cherry Creek area plan and Blueprint Denver. But just so everyone knows, there are other requirements. You've got to be able to address what we have been harping on, those of us involved with Denver Moves Cherry Creek, is that we have upzoned this entire area with the expectation that the city would do its part, and we would have infrastructure improvements, both in the way of transit and better, planning with the roads, the bus systems, and we have not seen a lot of that return to Cherry Creek. So I think there are still some open questions about how we accommodate some of these increases. Now, it is clearly very good to have some affordable housing in the neighborhood that might actually be available to someone who wants to live and work in the retail sector in Cherry Creek. But I would just, continue to at least hope that the efforts that we are putting into raising the awareness of the infrastructure support required for a lot of this development, we still need that to happen. So I don't know, Stuart, if you want to say any more about the provision about the new-ish ordinance that requires this plan to be filed. We have brought to Dottie's attention that really should be addressed at an earlier stage in the development process. And right now it's that before they get a certificate of occupancy, so they can build this thing before they really tell you how they're going to address the trip mitigation issues. We're trying to get that process moved up in the game, because if you can't do it, why should you be allowed to build that much? So Stuart, do you have a few words on that to share?
Yes. The biggest challenge is, as you said, Lou, we address trip mitigation, as I call it, right at the end, before they open the doors. So it's a certificate of occupancy that would be withheld. And I've already told Amy Carr, since we're talking about Cherry Creek West, that when they go for zoning, if they don't have a plan for trip mitigation at that time, it'll be very difficult to support the higher densities. And so even though the city has it out of sequence, I think we need to see something before they make that big ask. It's a risk that I wouldn't want to take, and I'm one of the neighbors in here too. So, Cheeseman Park District.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that is also why it is so important, Stuart, as the head of Transportation Solutions, to keep harping on the fact that these issues have to be a part of the discussion of development, that we cannot wait, that we, if we are building more offices for more people to work, you have to find, and concurrent retail, you've got to find ways to get them into the district. So it is a bit of a quandary. Bob, you have your hand up.
Lou, this is for Christine, but that was a really remarkable summary that you presented of the development. And are you available, or is there someone available that could make that same presentation to community groups? Because I gave it notes. It was really a comprehensive presentation.
I'm happy to do it anytime. I do it at a lot of the real estate companies in Cherry Creek. So I'd be happy to come to any of your neighborhood organizations. I'd love to do it, actually.
It would be great to have you, if you're available sometime after the first of the year, to make that presentation in January sometime.
Could you send the slides out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If anybody wants the slides too, absolutely.
Yeah, if you want to send those to me, Christine, I'll send them to the entire steering committee. And Bob, you are also, I will make sure you have the link, because all of this is being recorded. So you can also share this with your board so they can review the same information.
Thank you, Lou. That would be great, because it was pretty overwhelming presentation with all the data you have assembled.
It is. And I mean, and I think I want to include the slide too. And I don't know why I didn't have it in here, but you guys saw the 5 apartment complexes plus 4 in Cherry Creek West. So 10, I mean, when you think about that, 10 there in the 12 commercial buildings plus Cherry Creek West, 15. That's a lot. And
there's no transportation.
No, and I mean, if you're driving in Cherry Creek, it's getting harder. Officing with Cherry Creek North, we're right across the street from Whole Foods, so I'm using that parking garage. If we have a lot more traffic, I don't know how people are going to get in and or out of that garage. I mean, it's pretty tough.
And if we're in the top five markets of the United States, it's not going to slow down.
No, I mean, congratulations on the success and your property values, but wow.
I'd just like to mention
taxes.
We attended a focus group for the plan for Alameda, going across the city. And what you got to think about is, Alameda right now bends down into Steel Street, which then goes across First and then back up University to get back onto Alameda. I mean, there's another approach off of Cherry Creek North, I believe. But, if that comes in and that becomes a major, east-west route for Denver, it's already a parkway. All of that traffic, is also going to be flowing down through, First Avenue.
Wow.
Yeah, we're watching all that closely, and also, again, trying to make sure that that the city is a partner in how to solve some of those problems.
Yeah, and I think, Lou, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say it was very interesting. You were at the mayoral debate that the Alliance put on. Lisa Voss was there. I'm sure a few of you also were. But Kelly Bruff even said that she's like, hey, congratulations to your success, but you guys don't have the infrastructure for this. Do you remember her saying that? It's like, wow, like, does everybody know, like, does the department know that? Like maybe we should be putting some resources into Cherry Creek right now.
So that's the mantra that we've had a lot. Stuart says that a lot. He's not, the transportation solutions in this area isn't getting the kind of support that it would, that others in more negatively impacted areas of the city, including downtown to a certain extent. So it's a battle that we have, and yet being seen as a successful, wealthy area, it's not necessarily the top one that the city has for where their resources should go. Stuart, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that.
Well, we're in a phase, and it's focused on equity. And it's a general sense that certain neighborhoods and people have been disadvantaged for many, many years. The challenge is it's like we're trying to make up for all of that all at once, and we're getting nothing for Cherry Creek. And I'll just give you one example. I talked about adding some lighting to the Cherry Creek Trail. We have a large volume of people that use that. And the answer I got from the city was 100% of our budget's going to go to the Platte bike trail because that goes through disadvantaged neighborhoods. You're not going to get anything going through these $1 million neighborhoods. He said jokingly, he's a friend, so.
And
That's
what we
literally
have
what
been
it's like.
arguing for on the equity side, of course, is that and look, I don't deny that there are neighborhoods that need a lot of improvement that have been historically disadvantaged. But when you're trying to create a work base for everyone in the city, you need to help people get to work faster, and you need to accommodate the needs and the frankly the salary ranges that the uses that we have in Cherry Creek require. So especially with hotel workers and restaurant workers, it is not easy for those people to get in on an 1 hour route and on a bus, and yet parking is expensive, and it's not easy to get in and out of the area. So if you have a family and you're trying to get your kids, it makes it difficult for those people to work comfortably in the area, and it makes it very difficult for the business operators to get the employee support that they need. So it's a lens that we have to acknowledge. The equity lens is there. On the other hand, we have to continue to say that as the third largest tax base for the city, with DIA being first, downtown being second, and Cherry Creek third, that it is important to keep this going successfully and accommodating both workers and the people who live in these expensive areas of town. So, but it is true that we're fighting, and the budget right now has been so stressed by the initiatives that are needed to address our homelessness crisis, and also the immigrant crisis, the people that are here that need support. So our budget is stressed. On the other hand, we have to remember that if we're going to continue to be the third largest tax base for the city, we need to find ways to keep that healthy. So, we make the arguments, but it's usually a difficult uphill battle to put our infrastructure on sort of a fast track.
Well, it's a very interesting time in our development. We reward all of the things that we don't want, and we penalize all of the things that seem to be successful. And it's a most unfortunate turn for us right now.
And from a practical standpoint, we talked about with the city about potentially having a parking surcharge that could help manage the traffic better in Cherry Creek. And we wanted the money to come back and be reinvested in Cherry Creek. And we've gone in circles. The city will essentially say, charge more, but we're going to spend it in these other neighborhoods. So it kind of, we can't even generate our own funds to do things in our area without the city using those funds for something else. And that drives me crazy.
And just so I know many of you have heard this before, because it is not the first time we've thought about this, but and at some point, not at this meeting, but we will talk about what it would take to do a general improvement district. We already have the business improvement district. A JID, as it is called by acronym, would involve different kinds of improvements, including maybe pedestrian lighting and those kinds of things that we're not able to get the infrastructure for. But we can't have those conversations until we know where we're going to end up with some of these asks that should be being made of the development community as they put these projects up. But just know that, you know, there are other ways to look at some of these problems, or look at solutions to some of these problems, if we're still not getting the kind of infrastructure support that we think we need. So that's always something we can talk about at some point in time. Probably not the right time to do that, especially given tax increases and other concerns that people have right now. But those are other possible ways to think about solutions.
Hey, Lou, one question. I don't usually come into Cherry Creek off of Colorado Boulevard, but I did for some reason this week and saw the gateways. And there's a website now for the gateways into Cherry Creek, the Cherry Creek Gateway on First and on Bayard. Are there any updates on that?
So my understanding, they did sell one parcel, one of the Bayard parcels, I think, that was sold, the old Peepers parcel. But those are all subject to a pretty robust development agreement. So we know what can be built and how it will have to be built. But the gateway big signs are really marketing more than anything else, because those parcels are for sale. Okay. So it would be great if somebody bought those parcels to actually develop them in accordance with the development agreement that binds the property. But my understanding, Christine, is that nothing is moving forward right now. It's really just marketing.
Okay.
But there's a section on the Cherry Creek North Association website. It's the website is ccnneighbors.com. That's where you will find links on the development page and the zoning page to the gateway discussion, and you can read more about it there, and also see the actual development agreements and the plans that we attached that would be required to be substantially in accordance with those plans, and the requirements for giving us a little bit of space to do gateways. And by that, I mean, think about just a space to put art, planters, welcome to Cherry Creek, something, and the requirements in the development agreement are to light it and wet it. So that is the concept, but whether it will move forward depends on whether somebody will actually put a shovel in the ground.
Thank you.
So this has been really good, Christine. You are so good at this, and I thank you so very much for continuing to update us all. And Lisa, thank you for letting us know what's going on in the bid. And Stuart, on all you continue to do for our area on these very difficult transit issues. So with that, it's about 6 o'clock. Unless someone has anything else, I think we will call this a day. And I just have a question. Do you all want to skip December? Any thoughts? Well, let me know. Send me an email. I'm going to take a look at the calendar. It's, excuse me, a tough time because it's the middle of the holidays. So we'll regroup, whether we do that in December for any specific purpose. Maybe we'll then pick up this whole where did we end up on Denver moves. Otherwise, beginning in January, if you would please let me know, you know, your reaffirmed participation on the steering committee, who the representatives are, and we will begin again in January in another robust attempt to make sure that we all work together to help guide and inform what happens in our neighborhood, and to make sure that people who live and work here are on the same page. So with that, I hope you all have a really wonderful holiday season. Remember to get down into the bid, and thank you for being here, and I appreciate all of you. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Hey, Lou, can you hang on for a second?
Sure.
I just had a question for you
Thanks,
directly.
Lou.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'm going to stop the recording here.